The best in poker news, entertainment, and more. This is the Hoke Show.
All right, kids, we are back for our evening show on our MarkHokeShow.com, live from the World Series of Poker. And the sexiest man in poker sitting next to me. Well, I'll
have to be someone else here. Then.
No, Bernard Lee joining us here, of course. Run Good Gear Pro and radio show host as well out in the East. So we've got the country covered.
That's right. That's
not bad.
We'll split it right at the Mississippi or wherever it would be a good spot.
Actually, yeah, that would probably be fair considering the population shift, I think. Yeah.
There you go. That's
all right. Bernard, how are you doing? What's going on?
I feel like I'm doing okay. The spring obviously was a really, really good time for me. When I started winning the Run Good main event down in Oklahoma, and then just like less than 2 months later winning my first ring, and 2 or 3 other final tables. So I really feel like I'm playing well. I got really close in the national championship. I finished 19th, and they cashed 15. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't get aces, kings, or queens once in that whole event. Wow. 18, 19 levels. I mean, I just played my heart out to get there. And, I don't even feel bad going out at short stack king 10 on the button shoved, and the guy, of course, wakes up with jacks. But, I feel like I'm playing well. I don't think there's been an event here at the World Series where I've punted. And I really feel like every single time I get knocked out, it's like, well, what could I don't really understand what more I could have done. Sure. If you think about it, there was probably a 25% that, maybe you should have folded. Yeah, I don't doubt that. But, there have been some times in the past where I just get frustrated and I'll punt them. But I really, really have tried to grind and really work hard and try to make it through. And, I think, what was it? 5 events so far. I think I've played in 5. No, this one was 6. So I played in 6 and I've cashed in 1. I mean, not the best rate in the world, but we still got at least about 8, 9 more to go.
Yeah, long way to go here in this World Series. So I've obviously been watching what's going on. So tell us a little bit about your thoughts about this World Series so far. Some great stories happening out here. What's standing out to you?
Well, there's a lot. I'm actually I'm writing a column on ESPN, so I'm kind of trying to not give away everything I'm about to write on. But
please do. Come on, it'll be fun.
I think one of them that's pretty obvious is that you've got a nice little race for Player of the Year, right? You've got Justin Bonomo, who's got 3 cash. I mean, you might even have his 4th by now, but runner up in the deuce to 7 to Tuan Lee. Then he wins his first bracelet. Then he cashes again right afterward. And you got George Dancer, who gets a 5th in that deuce to 7 and wins his Raz event. Then you got Brandon, Shaq Harris, who wins a 1K PLO and then runner-up to Dancer in the 10K. I mean, it's unbelievable. You got 3 guys who are really basically 1-2, 1-2, that kind of thing. So you've got a really nice situation, a nice little race. It's a long way to go. It's a long, long way to go. Whoever wins the main event gets, I think, 400 or 500 points. So these guys, even if they stop now, they wouldn't win it.
Right.
But the one thing that I will say is that I haven't talked to Brandon. I did talk to Justin, and Justin felt like, it'd be great for him to get it, but he's definitely keeping his priorities straight. He said that he committed to 5 days at EDC, and he's going to do it.
Yeah.
And, it doesn't matter. He's going to take the time off. And in all honesty, I think that sometimes that's to your benefit. You really clear your head. He said it. He said it was his 3rd bridesmaid, 3rd second-place finish in a World Series event when he came second, deuce to 7. Mm-hmm. And he said, he was upset, and he said, you know what? I've had a great time, made a lot of money here at the World Series, and if it's not meant to be, it's not meant to be. And then guess what? Next event he wins, right? So I think it was the moment where he just kind of went, whatever, let's just keep playing and be happy that I do this for a living. Now it suddenly happens. And, for George, I just spoke with him, and it matters to him. I think this. George is saying that if I wanted to make money, I'd play cash. And for me, as a tournament player, it's about the titles. It's about the standings and all this kind of stuff. It's about scoop titles. It's about bracelets. And he was a bridesmaid once before in 7 final tables, and he's one of the best mixed game players out there. So, I think that George has a great opportunity here because he's going to be playing in so many of the lower field events.
Right.
And, it's not like he's a slack on No Limit by any stretch. So I think he's got a pretty good shot at it. I'm so happy for Justin. Justin and I have been friends for a long time. Ironically, my cousin-in-law went to high school with him.
Oh, there you go.
So it's a very weird thing. But Justin and I have known each other for years, since he started almost, probably like 8-10 years. Many people don't realize he was an online superstar. Z Justin was his name back then. He and I sat next to each other in a Foxwoods 10K. There's a picture of it online, and we must have sat there for 4 or 5 hours, and we talked. Oh, my God. I will tell you, I learned if you had to list 5 times where you sat with somebody and you learned a lot, that was definitely one of the top 5 times I learned so much.
He's brilliant.
Yeah,
he really is.
It really is.
Incredibly focused.
Another guy who was like that is Max Steinberg. I sat with Max in the booth last year or the year before. It might have been the year before. And he just no word of a lie. I've never done this in the booth. I took out a piece of paper. I started writing notes.
Wow.
I mean, I was like, "What? Tell me that again? Hold on. What?
That's awesome.
And I think it was just, maybe his brain and my brain, at least connect a little bit similarly. Mm-hmm. So like when he was talking, it made sense to me.
Yeah.
And other times people have tried to explain similar concepts, but the way they say it I don't know, it just didn't register. But the way Max explained it, like it literally just came right into my head. I was like, I get it. I get exactly what you're saying to me right now. So I think he's another guy that has made a lot of sense to me, and that was definitely another conversation that I'll remember for a long time.
I think one other great story that we've seen at the World Series too is a lot of guys winning their first bracelets. You mentioned Danzer, Bonomo. We also had one very interesting one with Paul Volpe. And what an amazing story that is, with beating Negreanu, Mercier, and Rast in a Final Four. Plus that table was stacked all the way too. I mean, Paul Volpe pulling that off was incredible.
Well, you have to remember that's probably one of the most coveted bracelets outside of No Limit Hold'em, the main event. Now, for those of you who don't know, deuce to 7, No Limit, single draw. When the World Series of Poker was first started and conceived, the concept was conceived back in 1970, they didn't know what the main event was going to be. Deuce to 7, single draw, no limit was considered as a possibility for that main event. And so being that as the case, it was as Nolan Dalla tries to make us laugh.
Nolan Dalla was jumping at us. And
right, Nolan Dalla would know this story, right? That deuce to 7, single draw, no limit almost became the main event. Thank you very much, right? Nolan Dalla said to me that I'm the young poker historian of this generation. Remember we had that conversation? You were like, God, you know so much of all the old stuff. I'm not there yet. Well, 44. I'm a dinosaur in poker playing, I guess. I don't know. But it's a really weird thing. Somebody was telling me about it. So I have a weird connection with the World Series. The World Series started in 1970. I was born in 1970. Mm-hmm. The Rio has been here. It's been here at the Rio for 10 years. I started 10 years ago. It's a really weird thing in the World Series. Isn't that bizarre?
Yeah.
Like in 1970, I was born. That's when it started. And then the first year that they ever did, 2005, that was my first year. And of course, I was here. I run the main event. But very weird scenario. But anyway, deuce to 7, as we said, was potentially the main event. So winning that bracelet, the 10K, is very prestigious. Mm-hmm. Nick Schulman, David Baker, and John Jawanda. There are a lot of people who really go for that bracelet. George Danzer said that he feels it's the strongest game, and he really feels like he's got a shot at winning that. I love the game. It's actually become my next favorite game. I've worked pretty hard on it. I've talked with Billy Baxter a lot on it. I final tabled a couple of years ago the 1500, and played the 10K last year. Just had a really bad day 2, one of those things where you're drawing to a 9 smooth, you get it, and then somebody else has an 8, and I draw to an 8-6, get it, and someone had a 7-6, and you're like, what is going on? And those are the days that are just very tough. I didn't, and mind you, I'm not saying that I raised and they re-raised and I called. I just flatted them afterward, and my chips just literally, I didn't win a hand on day 2.
Oh God!
Isn't that unbelievable? It was pretty sick. It was actually, considering that day 1 it went so smoothly. Day 2 was horrible. But I saw Paul today. I congratulated him. Really happy for him. Obviously, Daniel was gunning for his 7th bracelet. Phil gunning for his 14th, losing to Ted Forrest. What was it? Ted? What was that? Ted's 5th? 6th. Wow. It's not like Phil lost to some unknown person. Obviously, Ted Forrest is a great player and excellent in the stud games as well. So it's been a very interesting. It's been a trifecta. A World Series. Brock Parker won his 3rd. Yep. Dominic Nishi won his 3rd. Obviously winning the national championship for his 2nd. David Catay won his 3rd. So, you've got these triples as well. I'm giving away my ESPN column, but that's okay. But it's been a good World Series. Great to see the records that we saw in the Millionaire Maker, obviously. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna throw this out, so if Jack Effel's watching or somebody sees this is my recommendation for next year, with it being 11, right? So not only first, but second, you guarantee $1 million. And how you do that is you run 3 flights. Run a flight on Friday night.
Yeah, I actually talked to Jack about that.
Yep.
The potential was there. If they'd have had another flight, that thing would have cracked 10,000
Oh,
players.
easily. No, if
no question.
And that's what I'm telling you.
And they were turning players away. They had the flights at the end.
Right.
They were doing the waves. It was crazy.
And if you do it and you guarantee second is $1 million in addition to first, no ifs, ands, or buts. It'll crack 10,000, no problem. Run a flight Friday night. Start at 4, start at 5, 6, whatever you want to do, and then do 11 and 5 or 10 and 5. I would say start Saturdays at 10. Whatever, and run it. Run 3 flights. No question, you'll bust 10,000.
Yeah.
No question, it'll be the biggest one, and I think that would be fantastic. Listen, at one point during Flight 1B. When you were looking up and it was like 76, 7,700, you were like, wait a second, this has an outside chance. This has an outside chance of busting the 87.73, the largest one ever, Jamie Gold's year. But obviously it started slowing down a little bit. But my thought is that everyone who busted out of day 1, Flight 1A, was just going to walk over. And you know what? That's not true.
Well, they turned a lot of people away. I was actually sitting out here.
Really? They turned them away?
They had to turn them away because it just got to the point where they came out and announced that they were doing these waves, and people just said, we can't. We can't do this anymore. And now they started sneaking people in as alternates and so on. But there was still a long line out here about 6:30.
You think it could have been over 800 people?
I definitely think they could have gotten it.
Oh man,
I think they could have got it. But there was just nowhere to put them. I asked Jack about it and said there's just no place to seat everybody.
Next year on those days they need to suspend the deep stacks and everything. They just need to suspend them all. Like, people were getting so mad about the deep stacks. One guy just did such a hissy fit, like, this is ridiculous. And first of all, I'm sorry, deep stack. Something else is going on. And I'm not belittling the deep stack by any stretch. It has tremendous. I'm telling you, it's one of the smartest things that Jack did is to do that, because instead of people going over to other casinos, they can stay here and play. So I think it's one of the greatest things. But on that day, you need to suspend those. That's just got to be out of play. And I think the World Series is first of all, I think it's almost like in honor of the 10th anniversary of the World Series here at the Rio, can we now never talk about this again as poker being a fad? Like, I don't care. Poker's not a fad anymore. Poker's here to stay. Let's not talk about it. You guys in the government can do whatever you want, and you guys can try to put us down and not legalize, make it regulated, etc. And you can regulate other things, which I won't even mention, that I think is absolutely ridiculous. But hopefully we'll figure it all out, and this will be regulated within the next 5 years across the country. And I still think that's probably going to be a stretch, but I'm hoping that will be the case. And then this thing itself would be, another boom will happen.
Yeah, and speaking of that, of course, the big news broke yesterday, and we were following it the whole way through our shows with PokerStars being purchased yesterday. Your thoughts on that purchase and its potential long-term ramifications? Obviously, this isn't settled by any means,
Right.
but where do you see this one going?
Well, I want to say that I can't say too much about it. Let's just leave it at that. I read the column, and I might know information, that I shouldn't know, that I don't want to say out in public. And the odds are I probably don't, in all honesty. But I'd rather not say something accidentally.
Okay.
But I will say, I believe that there's a chance that this opens up more doors for PokerStars, as a new entity, that kind of thing. And so hopefully that will be, and they'll be able to be, listen, everyone wants stars back in the U.S. It's as simple as that, right? And if this gets them back in the U.S., then great. That's good for all of us.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I think that ultimately, if the government allows this and the government sees this, I think they have to look inside and be like, wait a second. This company just got sold for $5 billion. How much money does this company make?
Yeah.
Right? So, wait a second. If this company makes that much, how much money can we make as the government? And I think the government may suddenly all of a sudden look and go, wait a second. Maybe we should reconsider this. And so, if that's the case, then I think that this is, in the long run, this is a good thing. So, hopefully it'll all pan out.
In the immediate future right now, obviously, Amaya doesn't have a license here in Nevada, believe it or not. There's still talk that they're considering them a bad actor in California. This is going to be another political football a lot of these states are going to be dealing with at this point. Because I know everybody's running around saying, oh, great, PokerStars, they did this, they're going to be back. But, you still got to get through a lot of lobbying, and Caesars, I'm sure, is not going to be thrilled about it either.
Listen, if you're
state.
WSOP.com or Your Ultimate Poker, do you want this?
Nope.
No.
Of course not.
You don't want stars to suddenly come in and now suddenly become number one again. You don't want that. So, there's going to be a lot. And then you got Sheldon, right? I mean, it's as simple as that, right? I mean, you got him, and that's being annoying right there. So, there's a lot of issues. It is not easy. This isn't like, okay, we're done. It doesn't work that way. We've, unfortunately, since Black Friday, and really since the UIGEA back in 2006, this has just all been leading up to this crazy haggling of everything. And it's now in a situation where it's, the way I look at it is it was a ball of string that somebody looped around their hand neatly, but any moment something could happen, and they kind of stuck it in someone's pocket and didn't take it out neatly, and that was the UIGEA. So it was kind of like you could kind of make knots, but not really. And then all of a sudden, when Black Friday hit, somebody went like this. And now people are trying to like pick at it without cutting the rope.
Right.
Because if you cut the rope, it's over. Mm-hmm. And so people are just slowly trying to take little tiny knots out of each one, and they're just sitting there like forever and not trying to damage what's already done. I mean, I hope people understand what I'm trying to say. But
it's like a bad string of Christmas lights.
Yeah, and unfortunately, like you said, one goes out, the whole thing goes out. But, it's very important for our industry, and I think a lot of people who are in the media, a lot of people who are, were sponsored or whatever, like in those scenarios, it's very important for our industry for this to come back, because obviously it's a lot of advertising dollars. It's a lot of interest. People will start playing again. And, we need this second boom. And it's pretty amazing. I forgot who I talked to Justin about it. You have these 21, 22-year-olds who don't know about online poker. They don't know about the boom of online poker. It's amazing. And so you think about it. Let's say this does happen in 3 to 5 years. You're going to get 15, 16-year-olds who didn't play online suddenly playing online again. So you're going to almost have this generational gap where 5 or 6 years people never played online. Mm-hmm. It's absolutely bizarre how this all could work out. But let's cross our fingers it does, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, it should be exciting. So
yeah.
So both of us will be following that story on our radio shows.
Yeah, of course. I mean, how just in our small world of a radio show, right? I mean, it seems like, how could it really affect you? Of course, it can affect you.
Oh, it can affect us a lot.
Of course. I mean, the number of people that reach out and listen to our shows My show on Rounders Radio, and you can get it on iTunes, Bernard Lee Poker Show. It's been going for 7 years. Tens of thousands of people listen to it every week. And so you think about it, why wouldn't those people want to reach out to our people? And so that's the one thing that makes a difference. Then you think about all the other ones, whether it's magazines or whatever it might be, and ESPN and the show that we had, ESPN Inside Deal. I mean, there's a chance that can come back, right? There's a chance that could be on TV. I mean, the possibilities are endless, when it comes to it. Again, not to say that it definitely would, but I'm just saying those are possible things that can happen. Who says there couldn't be a poker television channel? I mean, there's a golf channel, there's a tennis channel. Now you suddenly have the industry that's billions of dollars that's regulated and legal. Don't tell me there's not going to be a poker channel.
Yeah.
Come on. I mean, there's so many old shows that are just available. They can just plug in at 3 a.m, and then every one of these tournaments, you can have. There's so much, and let's just hope the government just wakes up. Wakes up and leaves the Big Brother stuff alone. There are other things that you need to do for Big Brother. Right? I could go on, and I just don't want to deal with it because
we both could.
Let's just say I was in Black Hawk, Colorado, and watching the news and hearing some of the things that were happening because of the regulation that they did. Kids falling. I don't even want to go into it because I don't want people coming back to me saying I'm being bad. But I just think that. That's not. I don't want to have my decision on that. They made their decision. That's fine. I'm okay with that. You make whatever decision. But if you're going to make that decision and say that that's fine, then why is ours not fine? That's really more what I'm saying.
Exactly.
I'm not saying I don't want legalization in Colorado. That's not what I want. I don't care. That's your choice. But if that's your choice for that, then why is our choice not allowed for poker?
I know, it's insane.
That's what doesn't make sense to me. I'm not saying don't do something else, do mine. No, I don't care. But just let me do my thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's really where I'm coming to.
Yeah, that's a good parallel there. I like that. You're on it, Bernard. This is why you're one of the best in the business, my friend.
I do what I can, my friend. I do what I can. It's been I will tell you, it's been a very busy few days because I'm trying to bang out columns. I'm trying to bang out interviews. And my wife always tells me when I'm away, she's like, can you please take care of these? Because when you come home, because, she sees me up, like, writing my column when they're due. And she's like, why didn't you just do them when you're away? And I go, sometimes you can't because they have to be relevant. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But sometimes she's right. I probably could.
Well, I will make sure Bernard does his homework.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay,
thanks.
I'll take care of that.
She just texted me something right now, so.
Do your homework.
That's right. Now she's going to bed. I guess she said, "Don't bother me."
Well, that's even better.
I forget sometimes the 3-hour time difference. I'm like, oh God, I call at like 7:00, thinking, I'm going to get the kids before they go to bed, and I go, oh crap, I got to turn it off. I don't want to hear the ring.
That's why I moved out here. I don't have to worry about that.
That's
anymore.
right. That's right.
It's fun. Gotta enjoy living in Las Vegas. It's all right.
Yeah,
it's
it's been good because the weather's not been that bad. I played golf a couple times. We played. I'm trying to remember. Yesterday, I guess. Yeah, we played yesterday. We teed off at 6:50, got done at 11. Teed off at 75 degrees, finished at 87 degrees. It was unbelievable. What a day!
Congratulations. You lucked out on that.
It was gorgeous. It was really, really good. We played at Royal Links. Great course. Great course. A lot of fun.
Then you came in here to the 65-degree temperatures.
I will tell you, it's ridiculous. Like,
I was freezing yesterday.
I've been slightly sick, and this is just making it worse. I've had probably the equivalent of a gallon of green tea, hot green tea, just to keep me warm. It is a little bit. It's a little bit much. It's a little bit much.
I mean, I'm wearing pullover. I had to bust out the fleece. Even the Run Good gear could not keep me warm enough.
That's funny.
I mean, it was terrible. I'm like, I like wearing the Run Good gear.
That's funny.
It's comfy and cozy. How are things going Run Good, by the way?
I think they're doing great. I think the one thing about Run Good that people ask me a lot, and I will tell you, I was asked by a while ago, a few years ago, another company, for their clothing, but. The reason why I did eventually sign with Run Good is what I like about the concept of Run Good is that it's not about poker only. There's some companies that have some names of their company that are so specific to poker. And I'm not bashing them. I think some of their stuff is great, to be honest. But when you talk about Run Good, you run good in life. And that's really what I want. And that's why that's what really kind of connected with me. My wife actually thought it was marathon running gear. She's like, "Why are you getting into running again?" I go, "What?" She literally asked me because I guess a box of stuff came one day, and she goes, "Why are you getting into running again?" We both ran the marathon back in '99, the Boston Marathon, and I was like, "What? I'm not getting into running. What are you talking about?" And she said, "Well, you got this whole box of Run Good stuff." I go, "Oh, this is a poker clothing stuff." So I think that's what's really good, running good in life, and that's what you want. I was just interviewed about a month ago, and somebody had said, "What would when you want to be remembered when this is all said and done, what do you want to be remembered about?" And we were talking about poker, obviously, but they said, "What would you want to be remembered as?" And I said, "I'd like to be remembered as a good father and a good husband." And the guy was so surprised.
That's not a typical poker answer.
I was like, "What?" And he goes, "Well, this is not an answer we've ever heard on the show." And I said, "Well, sorry, my priority is not poker. I'm fortunate that I do this for a living, and I'm fortunate, but I really feel like I run good in life, that I have 2 amazing kids. I have a wife who puts up with this crap. Every single one of the people who are listening and watching this, there are very few people out there that will put up with this."
Yeah, that is very true.
It's a fact of life.
Yeah.
I mean, there are very few people that would put up with this. I mean, I'm away at least once a month. Now, mind you, you think about it, if you were working in a corporation, which I was away once a month anyway. So it wasn't like I was like, suddenly I'm disappeared, right? I mean, I went away for trade shows and all this kind of stuff. So I was away anyway. So it's not, but you play poker for a living, right? You go to a tournament. I mean, think about this. Somebody's saying this. You're going to do a job where when you go to your job, you're going to plop down thousands of dollars. And if you don't finish in the top 10% of that group, oh, by the way, you only do it about 15% of the time, you lose that money. Sorry. Have fun. I mean,
bye, dear.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I think I'm just very fortunate that I'm able to do this, and do this for a living. I'd be honest with you, I miss my kids when I'm away. Like I told my daughter the other day, I said, I miss my goodnight hug. It's just something that just becomes tradition for a while for us. And but focus on what we have to do. As I told my wife, and in all honesty, the reason why I think I've done really well this year is that I have that support. I don't have to worry about home. I don't have to worry about my wife being upset at me or the kids being upset. We focus on what we have to do here. And I have a story that about 2 or 3 years ago, I was playing at Turning Stone. I was playing in a Heartland event. It was supposed to end on Monday. The event was so deep stacked, they realized the final table's got to go till Tuesday. So it added an extra day. Okay. I was supposed to take my son to his first baseball game ever on Wednesday. And I said to everyone, I don't care what happens. If I make the final table, I'm driving home. I'm taking him to his first game. I'm doing that as a dad. I'm going to do that. They're like, well, Grandpa can do it. I go, I know Grandpa can do it. And in the future, Grandpa can take him to a game. But his first game ever is going to be from his dad.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you know it, I make the final table. Okay? But before that, I talked to my daughter. And I said to my daughter, on Monday, because I told her, I said, the odds are I'm going to be home on Monday. Because, I mean, you never expect to make the final table going into it. I think there was 700 people playing. And I told her, I said, hon, I can't come home. She goes, oh, boo, being upset. And I said, honey, listen, mind you, at that time, my daughter was 6 or 7. And I said, hon, I know you're upset that Daddy's not home, but understand this is Daddy's job. And every time that Daddy's away longer, it's not because Daddy's doing this because he wants to be away from you. It's because Daddy's doing well at his job, and he's really focusing on trying to do well, make money for the family, and succeed. Mm-hmm. Is this unbelievable that a 6, 7-year-old got that? And so the next time I talked to her, I said, honey, I'm not coming home. I made the final table, so I'm going to be here till Tuesday. And she goes, yay, Daddy, you're the best. That's great. You stay there and you do the best you can. I literally started bawling. I started bawling that my 6, 7-year-old could figure it out that quickly to be like, I need to support my dad. I can't make him feel guilty and have his mind not clear. Now, mind you, probably my wife told her to say that as well. But just started bawling. I'll be honest with you. I just started completely bawling. I'm getting choked up just thinking about it. But it's like I just started bawling, thinking like, my God, this girl gets it.
Yeah.
And I came home and we celebrated obviously afterward. But you just got to be very fortunate to be able to have a family and people that understand this weird world. Because I'll be honest with you, friends don't understand this world. I've been playing in a home game for years, and they just don't understand what we go through. We don't.
Yeah, it's a hard life. I mean, I know that's part, other than I wanted to be in the center of things out here, when I moved out here and, doing the radio show and, my wife is now understanding what I went through last year when I was here for 7 weeks in a way.
Right.
She's seeing like, oh my God.
Right.
This is brutal.
Right. Can't believe you did this for 7 weeks without coming home.
Yeah.
Right. Seeing the family. It's tough.
Yeah. So at least I got the.
No, I can't do it. Like I couldn't have done. Like people are asking me like, oh, you're out here the whole summer. I go, oh no. I mean, I've already been home once. I came out for the first week, played in the first event, and then played in the Millionaire Maker. Stayed and played in the Deuce to 7 No Limit Satellite. To be honest, even though I wasn't going to play in the 10K, but it was a great warm up. And the reason why I had to go home was my son's AAU basketball team was having their final tournament of the year. And so I had to go back and coach it. And so I went back, coached that, finished that Sunday around noon, and then flew out at 7 o'clock. Been here for about a week. I'll stay out here probably another week and a half, then go back for about a week, and then back out here for another 2 or 3 events before the main, which is the first time I'm ever doing that. It's the first time I'm ever playing events before the main.
Yeah, because usually I've seen you get here right before the main, and you're focused on that, and that's it.
Yeah, when I looked at the schedule and everything, it just I just really said that I'm really going to commit this year. Like, I feel like I've told my wife every time, most of my career earnings is very weird. If you look at my career earnings, I made like over $2.1 million in my career. If you go from World Series on, or World Series main event even on, I want to say like 75% of my earnings have been there. The first half of the year, I always suck. I don't know why. Like, I don't know if I'm just like I have to warm up or whatever. And for me, and I've said to my wife, I said, why can't I be goddamn hot going into the World Series?
Yeah.
And I've never been this hot going into the World Series. 4 final tables, 2 titles. I've never been this hot. And I just told my wife, I said, I have to try. I have to try. So I play anywhere from, I want to say like 8 to 10 events. At most. This year I'm playing as many as 15, 16. So, we'll see.
Was there anything on the schedule that really convinced you to come out here and play more? I mean,
No, it's just time. Like 7 weeks, I'm usually out here about 4. This time I'm out more than 5. I was home for 5 days, and then I'm coming back after only a week. So of the whole 7 weeks, I'm only not going to be here for like 12 days. And that's life, it's what I just, there wasn't any, like, depending on the events, of course the Deep Stack event is an event that you'd like to play, but it just didn't work out in the schedule. I can't play it, I played the Turbo. Boy, I wish they'd put more of those.
That was a turbo. God, that thing finished quick.
I'm going to tell you right now, I think what a great time, here, another Jack F will listen to this one. Saturday, the secondary event.
Yeah, that's
start out 1,500 at noon. You lose half of the field by dinner. Okay.
Yep.
Start the turbo at 5 or 4, or whatever you want to do. That thing will be over by Sunday, and then have 1,000. So in other words, you have a crazy weekend where you have 3 events people can play in.
Yeah.
And
that makes sense.
And you know what? Do a turbo on Sunday night too. I mean, why not? Sure. I mean, I'm telling you, you'd get people like jumping in all over the place.
Yeah,
right?
because we did have a couple lapses in the schedule here, and especially I think a lot of people were upset about the. I know we had one day that there was one event, and that was it. And I think wasn't it the Turbo?
Might have been, yeah.
I think it was the Turbo. We had that, and then we had the this pot limit Hold'em tournament, the 1500 that just bombed out and had 557 players. I mean.
Yeah. They will say that some of the other events beside like the Millionaires and all that haven't had as great turnouts as they thought, considering that Full Tilt money was back.
Yeah.
So I think that, I don't know. It's such a great time of the year. Amazingly, this weekend is the halfway point. Can you believe that? It's always, that's the one thing that always amazes me. We wait all year long. We wait all year long for this one time, right? And as a media person, you're trying to figure out the stories and you're trying to report the stories. As a player, this is the time that you just you hope that your dreams can come true. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's really what it is because, listen. There are players who are the best players in the world. Don't get me wrong. They have the best chance at winning a bracelet. But in all honesty, let's just assume 100 people are playing in a tournament. What are their odds even if you're the best player in the world, what are your odds of winning the bracelet? You're going to say you're 5 times better than the field? Fine, you're 5 times better than the field. That's 5%.
Yeah.
That's 5%. So, you have to run just so unbelievably well at just the right time. Mm-hmm. And you think about it, for anyone who's ever won a tournament or gotten deep in a tournament, think about it. It's the time when you had aces, kings, and ace king, and then you flipped them all over, and you're like, oh my God, or things like that, whatever they might be. And you have to run so well. And don't get me wrong, if chips are all even, the player who's the best player probably is going to win out. But it just has to work out perfectly. I mean, anyone who wins these 1,500 events,
it's crazy.
Something
insane.
Has to happen.
Yeah, you've got to.
I mean?
You've got to hit some.
Something
some
has to. And I'm not saying they have to get lucky in the sense of they hit a 2-outer. I'm saying, someone had aces, someone had kings. You had 4s, and the flop came ace, king 4 with a 4 on the turn. Something mm-hmm. like that. I don't consider that necessarily like you hit a 1. Whatever. I mean, or.
But just a hand going your way.
Yeah. Maybe 9-7-4 is the flop, and someone had aces, someone kings, and they go shove. Okay. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So, those are the kind of things that have to work out perfectly. And to be honest, it has to work out on day 3, or mm-hmm. day 2 going into day 3. It's very interesting. You look at the final tables, and you would think there'd be more final tables where someone was such an overwhelming chip leader that everyone else is playing for second. But it rarely happens here.
Right.
Last year it happened. I forgot what event it was. And I want to say it was a big event. It was a.
Yeah, I know we had one like that. We had one this year too with the Millionaire Maker.
I think it might have been like a 25K 6-handed or something like that. I remember because I was talking with Darryl Fish about it because he was out there. But the guy had such a huge chip lead. Everyone was playing for second. He said it was ridiculous how big of a chip lead he had. So it really created a very weird ICM scenario for the final table.
I hate ICM, by the way. I just want to win the damn bracelet. You know what I mean?
I'm not disagreeing.
In that spot, for a bracelet, I'm not worried about ICM.
Well, I mean, I'm going to tell you that I agree with you in the scenario that I would give up first place money for a bracelet in a heartbeat. Mm. But if you're in that situation, okay, so let's just run a scenario: 600 for first, 375 for second, 200 for third, 150 for fourth, 100 for fifth, and you've got 12 bigs. Don't get me wrong, you want to win.
Yeah.
But
it's a lot
surviving
of money.
2 more people
is a lot
doubles
of
your money.
Right. It's a lot of money
and
too. Yep.
not only doubles your money, but makes you play for 2 more years, for free on tour. I mean, it makes a big difference. It's a big difference. And don't, again, I think the way I always look at it is people accuse me of trying to ladder. I don't really try to ladder as much as I try to survive. Mm-hmm. And I honestly think there is a difference.
No, there's definitely a difference.
I honestly think there is a difference.
You're looking at that board and you're saying, okay, if I can just hang on for, and get 10 more people out, I'm going to just move up that one spot. So I got to hang on.
Because surviving is somebody throwing away ace king.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like someone being like, I got 9s, I can't do this. Because if I just hold on for 2 more spots, I'm going to. That's not what I do.
Yeah, it's not taking an unnecessary chance.
Right, and so, but what I'm doing is that when I'm doing what I do and I try to go for it, I'm going to try to give myself the best opportunity to keep moving up in the rankings. Right. But I'm not, as they say, laddering of just like I'm just mucking hands because I'm like, well, if I just hold on, I'm going to make another $10,000, $5,000 more dollars. So anyway, I think it's different. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think it's different.
You ready for the main event, by the way? I tell you what, honest to God, this is the truth. I mean, I see these people, everybody coming in here, and they're excited about playing the main event. There's nobody that I see with a look in their eyes like you when the main event's going on.
Oh, that's
And I mean that sincerely. I mean, the intensity that you bring to that is unparalleled in this building.
Wow, I never. No one's ever told me that. It is. It's an event to me that I have very fond memories of, obviously. But in addition to that, it's the event you look forward to, and also there's so many implications to that event that are far beyond just the playing aspect of it. Obviously, get deep, you can make a lot of money, but making that November 9 and all that. I mean, it would be an absolute dream to make the November 9. And amazingly, almost 10 years ago, this is my 10th World Series, so really 9 years ago, I was 5 outed from the final table, basically. People say, yeah, sure, you would have finished, you would have been not at the final table, but if people remember the way I was playing back then, I would have made the final table.
Yeah, you were playing great.
Well, it was just that I was playing so tight, and I wasn't going to get I wasn't going to get it in bad, and I was probably going to make the final table, but I didn't. And it's always been, not disappointment, but it's always been something where I wish I could have made it. And my dream is to make it, and it's God, it's such a hard tournament. For people who have played it, you'll understand how hard it is at the beginning, but you just can't understand it unless you've made it to day 6 or day 7.
Yeah.
And there are very few people in this world who have ever done that. And I'm not saying that to pat myself on the back. I'm just saying that I just remember how hard it was, and it's for a lot of people it's a once in a lifetime. It really is, and
especially now in the modern era.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's why, for me, I think that I may never have that chance again, but I always go in every year hoping that I will. It was maybe 2009, whenever I had another deep run, and I gotta tell you, everything felt like it was back in 2005. I made a big call with 10s. The guy had ace jack. I won the flip. I had 6s. He had ace king. I won the flip. And I had like 270,000 going into the bubble. It was just, things were going just right. And then I still remember the big hand. I had ace king, flop came ace high, turn came a king, but it completed the flush. The river hit the 4th card of the suit. I didn't have one of those suits. First guy checked. I tanked forever and checked, and he flipped over 10-9 or 10 something of that suit. So he flopped it. I think it was flopped. But he said he would have been sick to his stomach if I shoved. He was like, I don't know what I would have done. And he was a chip leader. He had 550,000. I had 270,000. So it was crazy. And unfortunately, I made the money, but I didn't get very deep. I think I got like 300th or 400th or something like that. So it's such a special tournament, and it'd be an absolute dream to make that November 9. It would be pandemonium. It really would. It'd be absolutely nutty. I wouldn't know what I'd do. Honestly, I wouldn't know what I'd do. But you can dream, and you can hope, and you got to have those just unbelievable situations. We watched a hand 2 years ago. It's unbelievable. One guy had 500,000 chips. The other guy had like 450,000 chips. And we're talking like day 2, man. We're talking 400, 800. They have like so many chips. It's unbelievable. And they got it. These two battled with each other. And the flop came, what was it? Queen 9-8. Okay? And they got it all in. The guy flipped over kings. The other guy had jack 10. It was like, what? I don't understand. What did you expect?
Wow.
What did you expect?
Yeah.
And this guy got it in for like 350, 400,000 chips at like 1,000.
What
are you doing? How many big blinds are you going to shove in there?
Yeah.
And it was astronomical. And the guy who flopped it was like, well, I don't know. I had so many pot odds. I don't blame him. I think the first guy raised. He re-raised him. The other guy 4-bet him free flop. He called. They flopped it. The guy let out. He raised. This guy re-raised.
Jesus.
Right? This guy called. Then the turn came a blank, and this guy like made this monster bet. The guy goes, shove. The guy goes, call. I mean, you guys got to be kidding me. And this guy has 1 million chips. 1 million chips at the 500,000 level. What? What are you kidding me?
That must have been fun.
Oh my God.
Couldn't imagine. I could be sitting back and thinking, geez, if I can pick up about a couple million more.
I'll tell you
the
one time that almost happened. So we were playing in Council Bluffs, about 22 people left. I want to say we started only with 10,000, so this is why there were so few chips, but I think there was about 2.4 million in play. There was 22 of us left, so the average is 100,000, okay? I had 750,000. I already had about 30% of the chips in play. Dwight Pilgrim had about 350, 400. Another guy had 250. Everyone else at our table had about 60. I mean, that's how crazy. It was a day where I literally got dealt kings and queens about 7-8 times, and no one believed me. Every time I raised, it would jam all in. I go, I call. Jam all in, I call. So Dwight raised from under the gun. I 3-bet him with kings. Guy folded, comes back to Dwight, and Dwight jammed. I was like, what? I mean, it was a huge jam. I literally asked for a count, and the reason why I asked for a count was that I had 750. If he had 600, I would have folded. And the reason why is that, I have so many chips right now, this is pointless, because if on the miracle that he does have aces, well, then I'm going to be down to 150 and I'm not playing. I'd rather keep my 700,000 stack and just dominate the table like I've been doing, right? Well, he says he has 350. I went, all right, I call. He goes, uh-oh. Uh-oh is a good thing to say in that spot.
Yeah, usually. Yeah.
Flips over ace-king. I have kings. Flop comes totally innocuous. Turn hits a third club. I go, do I have a club? No. Does he have a club? Oh, my God. I don't have to tell you the river.
Yeah.
I've never slammed over a chair in my life except that moment. I would have had over 1 million chips, and the blind level was 800, 1,600.
Oh, my God.
And I literally told everyone, if I had won that hand, it would have literally been 8-16. At the time, we played a little high. I said I would have put it down 35 every time. It's just been like, doom, doom. Like, you guys all have 20 bigs. God bless you if you do it, because I'm just going to call you with anything. So here we go. And, unfortunately, it doesn't. Now, here's the crazy thing. I write about the hand. Somebody comes by, and he goes, what happens? Did you double up? I go, no. They go, well, how can you have so many chips? I go, because I had 750,000 and Dwight had 350,000. I'm still second in chips with 400,000.
Right.
And that's how crazy it was. Oh, my God. I still remember that. Literally, ace 70-30 from, that was guaranteeing at least top 5.
You sound like you need a drink at this point.
No, I still remember that. It was. Do you want me to tell you about all the hands? God Lord, there's all these hands that I can remember. Losing flips. The one hand I've lost more flips on 3-handed on big tables are 10s. I don't know why.
10's kind of rough.
10s against the ace king, and it's always. We played the Carnival last year here, 3-handed. I pick up jacks. I'm like, this is gold. I raise, guy re-raises me, I jam. He snap calls. I go, oh my God, what do you have? He flips over ace king. I go, are you kidding me? I'm racing again. How can I be racing here?
Yeah.
Of course, I don't win the race, but it's a crazy game. I think that's one of the things that you really you almost have to store up, losing all these races so that the karma will go your way, that you will win some races. And unfortunately, I have to say I've been winning some races. So.
Yeah, and of course, winning on the radio show too. Tell everybody, if they want to listen to your radio show, we want to make sure we get to mention that here real quick. So
yeah, every Tuesday night, 7 p.m. You can go to roundersradio.com or iTunes. You can follow me on Twitter, Bernard Lee Poker, and we put it out all the time. We're fortunate. We just had our 7th anniversary, which was sponsored by Run Good, and I wrote a column on ESPN. About this is a special year. This is a very anniversary-heavy year. Phil Hellmuth is 25th.
Mm-hmm.
Greg Raymer's 10th. Joe Cata's 5th. And, of course, Ryan Reese, his first anniversary. Well, those are all my guests on my 7th anniversary month. So I had Hellmuth, Raymer, Cata, then Reese. And before that all started, I actually had Merson on the week before, so it was 5 champs in a row. And the week that we had Merson on, we also had Kevin Stamen as well, the WPT Championship winner as well. So, this month is a very popular month. A lot of people listen to it. We are having a lot of bracelet winners that come on the show. We had Brian Campanello recently on, and we're going to have Justin Bonomo, we're going to have George Danzer, Jonathan DeMig, the Millionaire Maker. And we just try to have a lot of the bracelet winners and talk about it and how excited they are, because that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Just to talk about how frustrating it was being a bridesmaid. How excited are you? It's very interesting, because you would think that every single person's like, oh, I'm so excited. And, some people are like, it's good. I'm glad it was a big check. And then others are, this has made my career, thing. So it's very interesting to hear them and how emotional they get. And, it's exciting to talk with them, and it's inspiring, to be brutally honest.
Absolutely.
It really is.
Oh man, I mean, I had Deming on right after he got his bracelet, and Danzer right after, actually the day after he won. Bonomo after he got his bracelet. I mean, and these guys, especially guys like Danzer and Bonomo that have just struggled for so long to finally reach that goal, and Volpe and those guys. I mean,
I would say struggle might not be the. I'm not trying to downplay your word. It's just, I think it was more of just the process.
Yeah.
Because the process, because
you could tell it wore on them.
Yeah, well, that's right. I don't think it's, you can't say for these guys it's a struggle, because these guys make 6-7 final tables, but more of, like you said, and again, I'm not trying to say that you're wrong. It's just more of like, it's the opportunity that was there and like taken out of their hands, and on a much smaller scale, I completely understand, because I cannot tell you how many goddamn thirds and fourths I've gotten in the last 3 years, and I'm sick of it. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I'm sick of it. And so the last couple of months have at least been like, at least there's some redemption and all this stuff. So that's kind of what, on a much smaller scale, because obviously they just won the pinnacle of poker. Phil Gordon said this, right? There's 2 types of poker players. One's with and one's without. And, the interesting thing is now, who is that person? Who is the best player out there that doesn't have a bracelet? It's a very interesting thing. I'll throw it to you. Who do you think is? Name something.
Haxton comes to mind.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
Isaac Haxton, Martin Rettenmeyer is a name that comes to my mind as well.
Yeah, he would have been on my list, yeah.
I
think another person that is Matt Glantz.
Oh, absolutely.
I think he's such a great mixed game player, just a great player. It's not mixed game. He does well in no limits as well. I think he's definitely one. I think just because of his ability to play, and just of the high levels that he plays at, and just kind of the mystique that he is Dwan too, right? Dwan doesn't have one, right? We don't talk about him much recently, because we don't have these bracelet bets, and he's not here all the time, but I think Dwan is another one that's kind of a, best players not to have one.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely knocked a few off the list already this year.
Yeah. I mean, I think Justin was definitely one. As George Danzer just walked by, I think he was definitely one as well. Obviously, Paul Volpe now is taking his name off of that list as well. So there's definitely a lot of people who have taken their name off. But there are, we'd have to look at the list more of who, but there are definitely a lot of people still on that list.
Yeah. So hey, we got the rest of the World Series to find out what's going to happen, if we're going to get some more names off that list, more trifectas. That's
right.
That's going to be a great column.
Yeah.
It's going to be a great column.
I got to finish it. I might finish it tonight.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I wish you all the best with everything, Bernard.
I appreciate it.
I tell you, always a blast having you around, and we'll get you. If you get a Wednesday off, we'll do that KLAV show, and we'll do the joint.
Yeah,
we'll do the joint. Kind of like a DC Marvel crossover.
Yeah, we'll try. Yeah, unfortunately, Wednesday is a tough day because there's always an event. It's usually Monday, Wednesday, Friday here that they have the events. Yeah. So, and of course, this Wednesday, I think I got knocked out just as your show was ending. But it's just classic. You know what I mean? But it's, what is it? I don't even know what day today is. Today Friday?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Friday, and hopefully we'll just rest up for tomorrow, have a good day in the 15. I'm definitely not going to play in the 1,000. So if I get knocked out of the 15, I'm just going to take Sunday off. I think I'm going to play golf and then play the deuce to 7 on Monday, and it's just tough. It's just draining. I'll be honest with you, it's very draining. But the good news is because I had played so much on the circuit this year, I'm used to 3 or 4 knockouts in a row. Because I will tell you that I used to not play this many events. I used to play 2 or 3 events and just go home. So to play 4, 5, 6 events in a row, you just get drained. Yeah. So, and it's like a salesman. You got to hear no a lot before you get your first yes.
Yes.
And that's poker. You got to get knocked out a lot before you make your next final table. So, but I appreciate it as always. It's been a pleasure.
Always a pleasure, sir.
Thank you, my friend. Appreciate it.
Best in the business, Bernard Lee, everybody. He's the man.
Thank you.
All right. Well, we have to get a commercial break in, and then when we come back, we're going to take a look at what's happening now because we got some good stuff going on. Some great turns, a couple final tables. Pretty cool stuff, man.
Lot of it's very exciting here in the Amazon room, to say the least.
All right, so we'll step away, and we'll be right back here on the Mark Hoke Show. And always enjoying having Bernard Lee around. God, I love this guy. I really do. It just makes my heart go flutter for as good as he is. It's amazing. All right, let's take a break. We'll be right back, guys.
Thanks, buddy. What is this?
The heat is on. Whether you're in the hot seat of a major poker tournament or just dealing with everyday life, stay cool with a brand new Arctic Blue cooling towel. Just wet your reusable and durable Arctic Blue cooling towel in cold water and you'll have instant cooling relief at your fingertips for up to 5 hours. The towel is lightweight and pliable, so you can keep it handy no matter where you are. Plus, it's absorbent enough to make sure you and your clothes stay dry while you stay cool. No need to sweat it out no matter what you're doing when you have an Arctic Blue cooling towel handy. So get the same cooling towel used by professional athletes, poker players, first responders, physical therapists, U.S. automakers, and even reality TV stars. So what are you waiting for? Visit them today at arcticblu.com and pick yours up today. Plus, enter the discount code MarkHokeShow when you check out and get 15% off plus free shipping to keep some of your cold hard cash in your wallet. It's like the Arctic Blue Bear says, it's not cool to be hot. So pick up your Arctic Blue cooling towel today.
One man, his lucky shirt, an unforgettable night, and a winning streak that never seemed to end. That's how Blind Squirrel began, and we haven't looked back since. We make the clothes that we want to wear for the places where we want to look and feel our best. The game, the speakeasy, and the casino floor. Blind Squirrel's small batch, high-quality gear is for people too busy grabbing life by the nuts to bother with crappy, ill-fitting clothing. Because like you, we prefer our nights long, our drinks strong, and our lucky shirt to be our most comfortable. So look good, be lucky, and visit blindsquirrelapparel.com for your new favorite shirt. As an added bonus, you'll receive 20% off your purchase with the promo code HOKE, H-O-K-E. You can also pick up Blind Squirrel apparel at the Borgata in Atlantic City and in Las Vegas at all Masura stores at Mandalay Bay, Monte Carlo, The Mirage, and MGM Grand. Look good and be lucky with Blind Squirrel Apparel.
I'm Dutch Boyd, two-time WSOP bracelet winner, and I want to share my story with you. 12 years as a pro has taught me a lot. For the last year, I've boiled it all down into a tell-all book, 90,000 words. In Poker Tilt, I take you on my journey through all the ups and downs that poker has to offer, all the manic highs and hellish lows of every bad beat and lucky draw. So go to www.pokertilt.com to read more, or just go buy the new book on Amazon or Kindle right now, pokertilt.com. I guarantee you'll enjoy the ride.
Your business and promotion will only go as far as your website will take you. That's why the Mark Hoke Show has only trusted one name for over 2 years, BlueRail.net. Whether you need custom website design and development packages, or simply need a host for your website, Blue Rail is the only developer to turn to. It's time to discover the world-class personalized service only the Blue Rail team can provide. Visit us at BlueRail.net and call 520-822-5128 right now for your free consultation today. So get on board at BlueRail.net. How far do you want to go?
Tough day at the veld? Get off tilt and unstuck by escaping to the desert for an extreme off-road adventure with Sun Buggy Fun Rentals. We have the biggest fleet of off-road vehicles known in the universe. And since we know poker players aren't exactly early risers, we now offer after-dark tours for all you night owls. And don't forget to stop by the Mark Hope Show WSOP booth at the Rio to win a free Sun Buggy experience. Please call us 24/7 at 1-866-728-4443 and visit us at www.sunbuggy.com. Call us now and take the off-road ride of your life with Sun Buggy Fun Rentals.
9 poker players on a dramatic path to glory with unbelievable twists and turns that will keep you on the edge of your seat. It's the Final 9 comic from Room 110 Publishing. Go to final9comic.com to download the first issue preview and get ready for the official launch coming soon. 9 will become 1 way or another. Final9comic.com. And for more details, make sure to follow them on Twitter and like them on Facebook at Final9Comic.
Want more of The Mark Hoke Show? Then follow us on Twitter at Mark Hoke Show and like our Facebook page at The Mark Hoke Show for show news and outstanding poker content from around the world. Plus, enjoy the show anytime by subscribing to our podcasts on iTunes or at markhokeshow.podbean.com. We're even on your mobile phone at markhokeshow.podbean.com/mobile. Thanks for listening and being a part of The Mark Hoke Show.
Now, let's return to the Mark Hoke Show.
The Mark Hoke Show.
Here again, your host, Mark Hoke.
All right, and we are back live here at the World Series of Poker. Always great talking to Bernard Lee, I'll tell you what. The Casino Examiner said the press listening to bad beat stories. Well, that happens. See, this show is like therapy, everybody. It really is. It's therapy. You get a chance to come on here, tell whatever stories you want. But I do have to say that he is one of the most intense guys I've ever seen. And main event time, just let him go. Just let him go. And it's no fun when he busts out. All right, well, let's take a look at what is going on in the World Series, because we got to get another commercial break in before this is all over. And we'll take a look at the Player of the Year race, too. Let's swing over to, let's see, Event 25. Already decided last night, John Kabaj winning bracelet number 2. So how about I stop hitting 25, because I seem to do that every show. Let's go event number 26, the No Limit Hold'em event. That is down to 4. And, wow, but that guy was short stacked for a while there. Tony Gargano has stormed back and is now your chip leader out of Sterling Heights, Minnesota, $3.6 million. Michael Katz in second at $2.3, and Andrew Rennick out of Seattle is at $1.3. Ryan Welch was kind of the headliner on that table. He ends up finishing 4th, man of Henderson, Nevada. Reed Goodmiller 5th, Heinz Kamutsky in 6th, Jeremy Island in 7th, Eric Rapport 8th, and Dan Smith, kind of a shocker there. Finishing 9th, had the chip lead today, but could not hold on and finishes in 9th place in that No Limit Hold'em. So 3 left in that tournament. We go to the horse tournament, and that one is starting to wind down a little bit. Let's get you your numbers on that as soon as they pop up. Now, actually, still quite a ways to go. 56 players left. But there has been a lot of movement at the top of this one. And one of those, Robert Scherer, 145, is sitting in first place at right now. John Manette, the ever dangerous one, at 125. Dennis Morrison in 3rd, and David O.D.B. Baker had the chip lead for a little bit. He is now in 4th at 110. Sloppy Claude is at 100. Then we have Matthew Smith, Stuart Williams, John Turner in there in 8th. Ron Lane, Brandon Murphy, your top 10. Joe Cassidy sitting in 11th, and we want to keep going down that list. Adam Freeman is in 19th. Miami John Cernoto had actually gotten to the top 5 in this one, now down to 21st. Jeff Schulman in there at 24th place. And keep going on down here. Just looking for some other, quite a few other notables. Bobby Abudi, the former WPT Borgata champion, still in this field. Also looking, Tommy Hang is in there. Dutch Boyd has dropped quite a decent chunk of chips. He's at 22,054th place, just ahead of Tom McAvoy at 21.9. And Huck Seed still listed in there at 16,000, but I don't know if that's right because that kind of gets past that 56 number. So a pretty good top of the board for the event 27, the horse tournament, $1,500 buy-in on that. 28, the pot limit hold'em event. And that is down to 36 players. Don Wynn, your leader, followed by John Hennigan, who just came up short of a bracelet earlier in this World Series. Well, Hennigan is trying to make another run. Eric Seidel has stormed back. He was in a little bit of trouble in this thing, but he's now up to third. Timothy Adams in fourth. Alex Bilikur out of Moscow, Russia at 230. Byron Kaverman has been at the top of this board for quite a while. He's at 210. Chino Ream has slid into the 8-hole right now. John Jawanda in 11th. J.C. Tran in 14th. Blair Hinkle in 16th. Scott Seaver in 17th. Kevin Stamen, the WPT Player of the Year this year, is sitting in, I looked away, 18th. We've also got Christian Harder up there, Antonio Sfondiari, Todd Brunson, Barney Boatman, Dan Shack, Matt O'Donnell. I mean, a lot of great players still in this one with 36 to go. And let me slide down here, too, because I guess with only 36, I could have buzzed down the rest of the pile here. Yeah, and then some of the Isaac Barron in there. So should be a great finish to the pot limit hold'em event. The 10K, of course, that one drawn 160 players in that one. Event number 29, no limit hold'em event. That one, I believe, kicked off today. Yep, and that's the 2,500. So let's see who's getting on the board of that. Sean Jazzayeri, way to go. Click. Put it on your screen for you there. Doc Sands in third, listed in third at 45,000. Jonathan Taylor is on the board there. Eric Baldwin up there. Bradley Anderson continues, could be continuing a great World Series for him. He's got 34,000 chips. Greg Mirko at a little over 30,000. Tony Dunst up there. Soy Win. Ryan Reese, the champ, has a few chips to start this thing off. Kathy Liebert as well. David Williams, Jonathan Jaffe. Dylan Lynn continues his great World Series. So that group right now is for the $2,500 buy-in no limit hold'em event. Your last event today, starting at 4 o'clock. One that we see a lot of the pros and some of the classic, some of the great veterans of the game playing the 7-card stud high, low, 8 or better. They got 514 in there. Obviously, this one's way early, $1,500 buy-in on this. But you got Alan Kessler, Melissa Barr up there, Weiss Ahmed, Alon Schwartz off to a nice little start, Chris Triba, Kenneth James, Barry Greenstein, Christy Gazes, Dan Kelly, Chris Wallace, who just won the 10K horse, David Bach, Daniel Negreanu, Scott Clements, Kareem the Jet, Marcel Lusk among the early leaders in this one. So that is where the World Series stands right now. So we're at least going to get one bracelet cranked out tonight. At least we should in that no limit hold'em event. Probably be the only one. The rest of them we're going to be looking at. Finishing up to at least tomorrow. So Tony Gargano, right now trying to capture a World Series of Poker bracelet tonight, along with Michael Katz and Andrew Rennick. So that's where that group is right now. All right, so we got the update in. We got to take that one more break. We've got to get those in for our great sponsors of the show. So make sure you do that. And I do want to mention, hey, guys, real quick sponsor plug for Double Digit Covers. Stop by the website, doubledigitcovers.com, and you're going to be able to pick up your free winner every day. You get one sent right to your phone from Tony Dose and the All-Star Handicapping team over there. You'll be glad you did because Tony wins. That's all he did. Hey, his Twitter's Tony Dose wins. Pretty simple. So make sure you check that out. Let's step away, and we'll be right back here on the Mark Hoke Show. Looking forward to wrapping up tonight's action for us here on the show anyway. and come back for another exciting Saturday. So let's step away, and we will get some more information, and whoever else is hanging around, stick around. We'll be right back.
RunGoodGear.com is one of poker's premier online stores for apparel. Their mission is to provide poker players with stylish and comfortable clothes for their daily grind. You've probably seen Run Good Gear at the World Series of Poker through Run Good Poker Pro Rob Salaburo, or around the country through the WSOP circuit. Today, RunGoodGear.com is the place to go to gear up for the poker felt. So go there now with the promo code HOKE, that's HOKE, for 10% off your entire online purchase. Remember Hoke. Now go gear up.
When it comes to custom poker tables, why would you buy something someone else designed and even named for their sales or marketing purposes?
The Nighthawk, the Gambler, the Big Slick, the Nuts.
Sure, you can customize it if you want, as long as you choose between black, red, or even green cloth, but that's about it. When you choose to play off tilt, it's not just another table, it's your table. The same price gets you a fully custom designed table that reflects your style and game. Off tilt makes it easy to design a truly one-of-a-kind custom poker table that'll give you home table advantage. Sure, Off Tilt could name their tables for marketing purposes, but why? It's not ours. We don't play on it. And to be honest, there are over 1,000 named Off Tilt tables worldwide, including the WSOP, the Deep Stacks Poker Tour, the Jonathan Papelbon, as well as Julie's, Chris's, Scott's, Amber's, Tristan's, just to name a few. So let us add your name to the list and deliver a truly custom crafted, furniture quality poker table worthy of your game. Visit www.offtiltpokertables.com or call Brian Knott today at 262-490-3812. We'll show you why Off Tilt is the only way to play.
Sports bettors, tired of getting beat every week at your sportsbook? It's time to stop guessing and start winning. We all know cash is king, and it's time to let the team at Double Digit Covers come to the rescue to help you get the positive cash flow you need to live the life you've always dreamed about. Tony Dos and his all-star sports handicapping team will be in your corner to help you beat the point spread, bring excitement and winning to your betting experience, and build your bankroll to levels you never thought possible. Get free winning sports information at doubledigitcovers.com. Stop guessing and start winning today at doubledigitcovers.com.
Call now for today's free winner. 1-855-489-2700. That's 1-855-489-2700.
At Team Poker Joker, we build innovative, high-performance, poker-focused apparel designed to keep you cool and calm in tough situations. Wait, no we don't. We've just got a cool brand representing the suits of this beautiful game called poker. Our gear won't make you better, but it will keep a smile on your face. So don't be so serious and show you know how to have fun. Get your Poker Joker gear today at TeamPokerJoker.com. Grin and win today at TeamPokerJoker.com.
9 poker players on a dramatic path to glory with unbelievable twists and turns that will keep you on the edge of your seat. It's the Final 9 comic from Room 110 Publishing. Go to final9comic.com to download the first issue preview and get ready for the official launch coming soon. 9 will become one way or another. Final9comic.com. And for more details, make sure to follow them on Twitter and like them on Facebook at Final 9 Comic.
The heat is on. Whether you're in the hot seat of a major poker tournament or just dealing with everyday life, stay cool with a brand new Arctic Blue cooling towel. Just wet your reusable and durable Arctic Blue cooling towel in cold water and you'll have instant cooling relief at your fingertips for up to 5 hours. The towel is lightweight and pliable, so you can keep it handy no matter where you are. Plus, it's absorbent enough to make sure you and your clothes stay dry while you stay cool. No need to sweat it out, no matter what you're doing, when you have an Arctic Blue cooling towel handy. So get the same cooling towel used by professional athletes, poker players, first responders, physical therapists, U.S. automakers, and even reality TV stars. So what are you waiting for? Visit them today at arcticblu.com and pick yours up today. Plus, enter the discount code MarkHokeShow when you check out and get 15% off plus free shipping to keep some of your cold hard cash in your wallet. It's like the Arctic Blue Bear says, it's not cool to be hot. So pick up your Arctic Blue cooling towel today.
One man, his lucky shirt, an unforgettable night, and a winning streak that never seemed to end. That's how Blind Squirrel began, and we haven't looked back since. We make the clothes that we want to wear for the places where we want to look and feel our best. The game, the speakeasy, and the casino floor. Blind Squirrel's small batch, high-quality gear is for people too busy grabbing life by the nuts to bother with crappy, ill-fitting clothing. Because like you, we prefer our nights long, our drinks strong, and our lucky shirt to be our most comfortable. So look good, be lucky, and visit blindsquirrelapparel.com for your new favorite shirt. As an added bonus, you'll receive 20% off your purchase with the promo code HOKE, H-O-K-E. You can also pick up Blind Squirrel apparel at the Borgata in Atlantic City and in Las Vegas at all Masura stores at Mandalay Bay, Monte Carlo, The Mirage, and MGM Grand. Look good and be lucky with Blind Squirrel Apparel.
Your business and promotion will only go as far as your website will take you. That's why the Mark Hoke Show has only trusted one name for over 2 years, BlueRail.net. Whether you need custom website design and development packages or simply need a host for your website, Blue Rail is the only developer to turn to. It's time to discover the world-class personalized service only the Blue Rail team can provide. Visit us at BlueRail.net and call 520-822-5128 right now for your free consultation today. So get on board at BlueRail.net. How far do you want to go?
Want more of The Mark Hoke Show? Then follow us on Twitter at Mark Hoke Show and like our Facebook page at The Mark Hoke Show for show news and outstanding poker content from around the world. Plus, enjoy the show anytime by subscribing to our podcasts on iTunes or at markhokeshow.podbean.com. We're even on your mobile phone at markhokeshow.podbean.com/mobile. Thanks for listening and being a part of The Mark Hoke Show.
This is the Mark Hoke Show.
The Mark Hoke Show.
Here again, your host, Mark Hoke.
Nice, don't turn on the mic, idiot. Anyway, welcome back to the Mark Hoke Show. And hey, we got another guest coming, by the way. So we're probably going to be hanging around a little bit longer than the 8 o'clock time slot. Zach Elwood is going to be joining us. Of course, wrote one of the great poker tell books in recent memory. Did a great job of that, and now has a new book out, Verbal Poker Tells. And he's going to be on in just a couple minutes to talk to us about it. But he's being a sweetheart and grabbing me a beer. You got to love that. He might get a T-shirt for that. I think that's a distinct possibility. Here he comes. Look at that. Got an MGD, I believe, in the hands. Look at this guy. Let's give Zach Elwood a round of applause, everybody. Yeah. Brewski. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Yeah, we're on right now. Commercial break ended, and almost perfect timing. I was just introducing you, and now he's here. Zach Elwood. What's up, Zach?
Hey,
good to see you.
not much. Thank you.
You can put the headphones on if you want to, just for fun. If you like. You don't have to. But
I don't have to? Does it help?
It helps you hear a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, so, look at this. Everybody's bringing me booze on the show now. You got to love it. I'm
going to take them off. I don't need it.
Okay, fair enough. All right. Well, Zach, of course, following up your last great book, we now have a Verbal Poker Tells book.
Yeah, I'll show it. Can I show it here?
Oh, absolutely.
Verbal
yeah.
Poker Tells.
Verbal Poker Tells right there.
There it is.
There you go. So tell us a little bit about the making of this book, because I know that you were watching a lot of TV. I kept seeing your tweets about, the build up to this thing. Tell us about writing this one.
It was a pretty long process. I've worked on it pretty much full time every day for probably like 8 or 9 months total.
Wow.
I was taking a lot of notes of televised poker. I was also playing a lot of 2-5 and 1-2 games, taking a lot of notes there. And I also got a lot of people sending me, people I trusted, sending me hand histories of, verbal behavior that they witnessed. But a lot of the stuff in the book is from televised poker, like Wsop hands, high stakes poker hands, stuff from those kinds of shows. Specifically from a lot of it's from recreational players. I focus on them because they're the ones most likely to give reliable kind of patterns like that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it was a pretty hard process. I actually thought I'd be done a lot sooner, but I didn't. factor in like how complicated the project was. As it went on, I kept noticing new stuff and being like, oh, I should include this, or I should rephrase the introduction. I kept stuff kept getting more and more complex the more and more notes I took and the more and more patterns I found. But I'm actually much more proud of this one than I am of the first one, because this one's like much more researched, I feel like, and the first one was much more about general stuff and didn't really delve into specific patterns that you could check on your own. But this one, I feel like I give references for televised poker shows that if you wanted to, you could look them up and watch how the pattern played out on your own if you wanted to.
So with this book, what made you decide that you wanted to take this route with it? I think this is a topic that we do talk a little bit of. A lot of books have talked about verbal tells, but not a whole book's worth. I mean, it mostly leans toward the physical side of it. So what made you decide to get into this side of it and put this book out?
Well, I guess after I wrote the first one, I had already decided, I'm not really going to write another book unless I have something unique to say. Mm-hmm. And I brainstormed a bit about what that could be. And I figured there really hadn't been any book concentrating specifically on verbal tells, and so it struck me as like the one area where nobody had ever really written much about that. I mean, there'd been a few things here and there, like Mike Caro said some stuff, everybody knows a few basic things, but it struck me that nobody really delved into that, and tried to do some hardcore research into that. So that was really like the one area where I thought, I could say something unique here, and something that was interesting. Mm-hmm. That's kind of how it came up, And also, I guess I'd brainstorm with some video projects, but the thing with video is it's hard for me to get the rights to actually use a lot of footage, so that kind of hamstrung me in that direction. So I was like, oh, what can I write about that I can actually write about?
Right, exactly.
So, or what can I do that I can actually do easily? And the more I thought about it, and the more I analyzed stuff, it seemed like verbal poker tells was the way to go.
So let's talk about some of the different breakdowns of the book. Now, unfortunately, I didn't get to see it yet. It's just hot off the presses.
Hot off the presses.
Beautiful. Look at that.
It's a nice looking book. I hired a designer to. You can't tell the subtlety that's in the design there, but the whole cover is basically a bunch of phrases. A bunch of things people say with just part of it highlighted in the spade shape.
Oh,
so
very nice.
Yeah, you can actually read all these things people say on the cover, but it's subtle. Yeah. So.
I want to start with silence.
Silence.
I know this, you're talking about verbal poker tells, but silence sometimes is just as important as what people are saying at the table, too. How much did you hit silence in the book?
See, silence is obviously much harder to read than actual things people say, because, the reason for that is because a person with a strong hand can act in very different ways, a variety of ways. They can be silent, they can talk in many different ways because they're relaxed, right? Mm-hmm. So silence in itself is very hard to draw conclusions from, and this is true of a lot of behavior, because usually there's the absence of a tell is not a tell. So without a tell being present, it's really hard to reach conclusions about it, right? If somebody's silent, they could just be being silent for many different reasons, right? Mm-hmm. They could be nervous, or they just could be relaxed, and that's what they're doing now. So in a vacuum, many things are hard to draw conclusions from. I do talk about silence a little bit, but it's mainly in context of player-specific correlation. Like, for example, we've all played with players who talk a lot when they're comfortable. Like, say they make a big bet on the river, they're very comfortable, and they talk a lot. And then when they're uncomfortable, when they're bluffing, they have more of a tendency to clam up. They might say one or two sentences, but they're not nearly as
animated,
flowing,
and exciting,
exuberant, and willing to interact. That kind of thing. So mainly silence comes up in that regard. But I do make it a point in the book that the absence of a tell is not a tell in itself. Usually, because a player with a strong hand, it's mainly due to the fact that a player with a strong hand can act many different ways. So usually we're looking for, the presence of something, especially when it comes to verbal stuff. We're looking for the presence of something actually being there, which often will clue you in to somebody having a hand, because a lot of verbal behavior will clue you into somebody being relaxed by how they phrase things, when they say things, how they say them, like how quickly they say them after you ask them a question. Like it's all these little clues, and that's kind of like what I delve into.
So going through all of this, I can only imagine how many different tells you dug up. Let's start with some of the shocking ones that you found. I'm sure there were a few that you saw that you're just like, wow, where did that come from? I can't believe this. What are some of the ones that really specific ones that you found that really surprised you?
I guess I can't say they were really that surprising, but I guess when you really start paying attention to a lot of this stuff, because when I first started out writing this book, I thought I knew what I was going to say, right? And I was like, oh, I have these things to say. I'm going to research what I have to say and then write about it. But like the more I started analyzing things, I found new things to say, and I found the things that I was going to say weren't as interesting. So I started having new concepts. So for example, when I first started really keying into the fact that a player betting with a weak hand virtually never wants to imply a weakness about their hand. They don't want to make what I call a weak hand statement. That like a bluffer doesn't want to say something like, "I could be bluffing here. You should call." That kind of thing. It's what I call a weak hand statement. Or they don't want to say something like, "Well, I don't have trips here." They don't want to like weaken their range in any way usually. And when you really start keying into that, you'll notice that those kinds of weak hand statements are almost always from players who have strong hands. And it seems kind of obvious in hindsight, the more you think about it, because players who are bluffing don't want to weaken their range. But the more you start keying into it, you'll notice like these kinds of subtle and unsubtle statements come up all the time where, you'll ask a player like, oh, did you hit that straight there? And he's like, no, I didn't hit the straight, Like the fact that he's willing to subtract a strong hand from his range, after he bet, makes it very likely he's strong, because a bluffer virtually will never, there's rare exceptions, obviously, like with anything with behavior, but for the most part, a bluffer does not want to subtract value hands from his range, So it shows the value of like these kind of like little questions you can ask players sometimes, like, oh, did you hit that straight on me? And they're like, no, I didn't get that, So yeah, that's important, and that's kind of like a recurring theme in the book. Like I bring up other patterns too, but a lot of it comes down to that specific pattern, and that was interesting because like even though it seems kind of obvious in hindsight, like when you really start studying a lot of these, you hardly ever find anybody who's bluffing, making a weak hand statement, and a lot of them can be very subtle too. A lot of them are very subtle where it's like you ask somebody like if they bet on the river, and they'll say something like, well, I don't have the trips or whatever, even if it's like the third nuts. It's not the nuts, but it may be like another value hand that's not nearly the nuts. But the fact that they're willing to remove that value hand from their range, with their verbal behavior is meaningful, usually. For most recreational players, that's the caveat, because obviously experienced players are very capable of switching up behavior. But
is it best when somebody asks you one of those questions to just not say anything, or what's your recommendation? Because I mean we know Daniel Negreanu, for example,
right,
is one of the best
yeah.
at just sitting there, and he'll ask you an innocuous question, and then all of a sudden gets you going, and now he knows everything about you and knows how to play you and can pick you off and figure out exactly what's happening just by starting a casual conversation.
Right.
Is it best to just sit there and say, "Oh, hi, Daniel," and then that's it, or how do you what do you find?
I would say, I mean, a lot of it depends on how good you think you are, and how much you are into your opponent's head. But usually, I think the game theory optimal solution would be to not say anything, because you're not giving anything away with your silence, assuming you're being silent in all situations, right? But I think one of the cool things about my book is it does give you that sense of like what are these very good players getting from recreational players when they talk. It kind of helps explain why players like Daniel Negreanu or Phil Hellmuth or whoever, how are they judging from people's reactions to their verbal behavior? What information are they gleaming from the interaction? And I think that was kind of my goal setting out, is like, what are the subtle nuances that really good players are gathering from recreational players when they interact with them? So I think to answer your question, I think silence is often the best response, unless you have a good read on like how that person's going to respond to you.
What did you see from some of the top professionals that really surprised you in terms of their verbal tells that you picked up? Because obviously you've seen all these scenarios through. I looked and I just real quick I saw 2007. So obviously you went back a long way on this. Yeah. What did you see out of some of the pros that you were like, wow, that is a pretty bad tell they've got?
Well, the interesting thing is, and I say in a foreword to this, if I include examples of your verbal behavior, it's not in an insulting way, because what happens a lot is you'll find behaviors that pros do that, if they specifically do these behaviors because they know that their opponent is recreational, right? They know that they're going to get a certain response. They would never do that kind of thing to another very good player, but they can expect that their behavior is going to have a certain response against this certain recreational player. So a lot of the examples I use are actually pros slipping, in the sense that they're using imbalanced verbal behavior against recreational players who can't take advantage of that. But the pros know they can't take advantage of that. The pros would, the good players would never use that same behavior against somebody else who was just as good as them, right?
So they're kind of letting it, because they're not going against a professional,
right?
They're letting some of these things slide that normally they wouldn't do.
And right, exactly. And to an objective observer, somebody who's a good player also, you can be like, well, that they seem to have slipped there. But the person saying that, knows what they're doing, so they're balancing their behavior because they know the expected result that they're getting. So a lot of the examples, even though I use some examples from Negreanu in there, but the thing is, like, a lot of times he's talking to recreational players, So the trick is, he's professional, he's experienced, he's an experienced player. He would not be using those against someone who he thought was experienced, right? So, the value is that if you had that knowledge, you would be like, oh, here's how he's trying to use that verbal behavior against me, or whatever, his behavior against me. So yeah, I use a lot of one of the interesting things about I study a lot of old televised footage, and Phil Locke was a very talkative player, but he was very well balanced. Like I studied his stuff a lot.
I never hear those words go together, Phil Locke and well balanced.
Well, verbal,
first
only
time.
Verbal behavior wise, only verbal behavior, because he he's a guy who talks a lot. So I actually spent some time like studying, because I had recorded, I typed like verbatim what these guys said, and I actually logged like specific patterns that I was looking for. And I was like, well, can I find a pattern with how Phil Locke speaks? Does he say like weak hand things when he has strong hands, or does he say strong hand things when he has weak hands? These kinds of like patterns. But the thing is, like, Phil Locke was actually super balanced, and I can't say that about many other players I study, because I can find many imbalances with how Negreanu uses language. I could find many imbalances with Hellmuth. Keeping in mind that they were speaking to recreational players, so. They were trying to exploit people specifically, but Locke was, he was very balanced with his language, and it surprised me that he didn't have any, he was all over the place with his language, and which equals, being balanced.
What was the most interesting verbal duel that you heard between two top professionals that you studied?
Well,
you're smiling. There's probably a couple that
there's
came
a
to
lot.
mind.
There's a lot of interesting ones. Like, yeah, I mean, because I spent a lot of time thinking about which ones I would give more, exposure to, and like there's one in here I talk about, like, it's a well-known one. It actually had a few patterns in it, which it's the well-known one when in high stakes poker, when Negreanu has 10 king and Esfandiari has pocket jacks, and the flop's like queen 10 some lower card. And Negreanu shoves all in the flop. It was a pretty mundane spot, but there were like several verbal patterns in there, and I actually kept coming back to in the book because I felt like Negreanu showed several patterns that were exploitable, like that many people show. And I revisit that hand 3 times in the book, and it's the same hand in Harrington's book where he breaks it down, like Harrington's volume 1, I think, of No Limit Cash Games. It's like a bestseller of his books. He talks about that hand, in his verbal behavior part as an example of like the kind of information you give away. Mm-hmm. But like he didn't delve very far into, I specifically call out like 3 specific patterns that were present and that could have given information to Esfandiari if he was, that could have possibly been, factors in him calling in that hand. And I think there's value to like breaking down any possible poker hand into these like really subtle, pieces, because I think there's so much subtle information you can find in this verbal behavior, and the more in depth you examine it, the more you can find sometimes. A lot of times, when you're playing against experienced players, you have to take into account that they could be leveling you in various ways, of course. But like when you apply it to recreational players, I think there's a lot of value there. And even sometimes if you have a good read on experienced players, there can be good information there. But
I think High Stakes Poker was probably the most fun show for verbal interactions that you're going to find with those professionals. Obviously, very few amateurs got on that show. I know, I'm trying to remember back if there was a lot of verbal on the 7 deuce hand. That's the legendary 7 deuce hand between Helmuth and Mattisau. I don't know if you.
Oh yeah, where he bluffs with and Mattisau folds kings.
Yeah.
I didn't include that one, but I did include a lot of other hands featuring Helmuth, and actually I got a lot of Farhall hands in there because I felt like Farhall was super unbalanced with his language. Speaking of people that are imbalanced or balanced with their language, like there's a good amount of Farhall hands in there. Trying to think. I went on my way to study the more amateur players that played on there. Like trying to think of another more amateur player that not that I'm calling Farrell amateur, but the people that were not as serious, I guess I should say.
That's on there like Guy La Liberté and
Guy La Liberté. Yeah, I use a few La Liberté examples. And I say in the forward, this is not an insulting thing in any means. Like I use a lot of names from a lot of people actually, and like who knows, if you've played a WSOP event or something, you might be in there. Anybody could be in there.
Yeah.
I put a lot of names in there because I like to like document what I did. But yeah, it's not in an insulting way because we all leak information in different ways. It's just being aware of like how you might be influencing your opponent and how much they might know. We all sometimes talk during hands, and we have to be aware of what could that be meaning to our opponent.
Yeah. Well, I can't wait to read this book because Poker Tells is one of my favorite things, and I loved your first book. And I got to tell you, you really won a lot of people over with the first book. I mean, it seemed to me that all of us, we knew who you were, but then when that book came out and started making the rounds and people really started reading it, it just seemed like it snowballed and snowballed for you, and more people were going to you for advice and looking to you in terms of Poker Tells, and it kind of put you in that little stratosphere there with Caro and Joe Navarro and yourself, with some of the best Poker Tell books out there. What was that experience like for you over the past couple of years since you wrote the first book?
It was pretty weird. Honestly, I'm not really anybody. I'm somebody who I've played poker seriously and studied it, seriously on and off for 10 years, and I played professionally for 3 of those years. But it's not like I'm a super high stakes player or anything. I've never represented myself as a genius at poker, but it was more like I really thought the Poker Tells information that was out there was really subpar, and that's kind of what motivated me to be like, well, I feel like I could write a better book on this, and I feel like I've, with what I know, I could go out and write a better book, and so that's what motivated me. It wasn't like some thought like I'm a genius at this stuff. It was more like I think there's more to be said on the subject that people aren't talking about, for whatever reason. It could be because they're playing. The guys who really know Poker Tells are just playing so much poker and making so much money at the high stakes that they don't really want to talk about it. That could be one reason, and that's fine. But it just struck me that nobody's really talking about this stuff in a way that's really intelligent, like breaking it down into like patterns, so that's what motivated me. I felt like maybe I could be that guy. And when I wrote the first book, I didn't know how people would react. I self-published it. I just wanted to see what would happen. If people liked it, and people responded positively, so that gave me more confidence. And it kind of led me into. That's what led me to this book. I'm like, well, if I'm going to write another book, it has to be something special. So that's what led into it. And then, I was really honored that people thought it was valuable. I did spend a lot of time on it, and I thought I had confidence in it, but I wasn't sure if other people would feel the same way. So, but I think what I had going for me was just like there's just not that much good information out there about poker tells, and honestly, it's not that it's not like I pretend it's a very important subject. It's like it can add some percentage to your win rate, sure. It's not a big deal, but it can add a substantial amount to your win rate if you pay attention to it, and if you think about it. So yeah, that's how I've approached it,
Pretty cool, dude. As the kids like to say, pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
All
cool
right.
story, bro.
Yeah. So we've got the new book out here. It is Verbal Poker Tells by Zach Elwood, and boy, I can't wait to get my hands on this, man. I'm
gonna bring you one tomorrow.
Okay.
I'll get you one.
Awesome. I appreciate it.
I got a few in the car, so.
All right. So, book out on Amazon yet and everything ready to go?
It's everywhere online. The only place the ebook is available is on my website, readingpokertells.com. That's pretty much right now the only place you can buy it. I'll eventually get it up on 2+2. They said they're going to sell the ebook, but right now you can buy the ebook, several different files on my website. But yeah, the paperback's on every major online seller. So.
All right. So pick it up. Everybody,
right.
You loved the first one. You're going to love this one, Verbal Poker Tells by Zach Elwood. Zach, congratulations on another great piece of work, man.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
Very awesome.
Appreciate it, man.
Very awesome. We'll see you around here at the World Series.
All right.
There you go, everybody. Zach Elwood. He's back. I cannot wait to read this book. Save myself some more money. Zach saved me some money last time around, and so it's definitely worth it. All right. So there you go. Great show tonight. Bernard Lee and Zach Elwood joining us here on the Mark Hoke Show. We're going to be back tomorrow at 1 p.m. Pacific time. And, you're going to be thrilled to catch that show, I'm sure. And, of course, our evening show at 6:30 Saturday night. The craziness here at the Rio. A lot of great events going on. We're getting ready to, give away at least one bracelet tomorrow. So we'll have all the updates for you, everything you need, and more great guests. So I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. We will see you tomorrow, 1 p.m. Pacific time here on the Mark Hoke Show. Thanks for joining us.